my friend, and welcome back. My name is Hannah, and today I'm going to be talking about makeup history. So if you're curious about what I'm wearing on my face, what I mentioned in today's video, and what I'm doing in other pockets of the internet, I always have links in the description box down below. And if you're joining me from my gaming videos, today's video is going to be about makeup, but I should be having a God of War review very shortly on my channel. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I feel like I'm towards the end of the game. I'm getting like more options for collectibles and things like that. So to me, that's very like end game kind of things. Reasons to do a new game plus. So I don't know. Hopefully, like I finish that this week, so then I can give you guys a review, because you guys seem to really like me kind of questioning why it wasn't on PC. So if you're curious about that, that should be coming. Otherwise, what else do I have that's not necessarily makeup related? Oh, for my anime watchers, I should be having an Ami haul very shortly. My October order is getting to me kind of late. I think I'm going to be paying for my November order pretty soon. So that should be coming hopefully this week or in this month as well. Spy Family's still going. Attack on Titan comes back in December, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know how much I love Attack on Titan. So much that I'm even wearing my Attack Titan shirt. Let me show you the back, because the back is also like pretty cool. I don't know, you may be like me and love Eden Yeager, and maybe you don't. Maybe you're mad at him right now. I totally understand if you are, but I don't know, I'm kind of excited for the anime only fans to kind of catch up to where the manga readers are, because I don't know, I'm ready for the rest of the world to be crushed and sad and depressed. I'm waiting. Oh, I also found out Nana and Berserk is coming to Netflix on December 1st, so for those of you that care and didn't know a way to sail the seas, if you know what I mean, that should be coming to Netflix. Two of my favorite animes of all time, and it is like the original 1997, 1998, 1997, 1997? 1997 Berserk anime. I think that's the year that it came out. I'm pretty sure it's a 97 anime. But the original anime is coming out, and there is some talk that like Netflix might be doing like a new anime series. I don't know if that's happening. They might just be waiting until the anime completes. I don't know, but there's a lot of Berserk news going on as well. Also a new chapter coming out. So does that cater to all of my nerd stuff who don't care about makeup? I think so. So if you got what you needed from me, I'm gonna now start talking about makeup. So if you do not care, I totally understand. I will see you guys in the next video. But for those of you who do care about my makeup content, this one is for you. So let's talk about Becca and what's going on with Becca, or what was going on with Becca, because it's now been at least a complete year in some months. I believe Becca closed down in August, September of 2021. It is now November of 2022 as I'm filming and posting this video. So it's been gone for a calendar year, and did we notice anything? Do we care that it's gone? Do we miss Becca? Let's talk about it. So kind of going back in time, Becca is one of those like big brands from like the big heyday of internet beauty. I would say that's between like 2010 to 2016, where influencers, you know, were becoming influencers, where the term influencer even kind of stems from. And Becca was known for its highlighters. Everyone had a Becca highlighter. You didn't buy a highlighter from another brand because Becca had its grip right on your throat, and you had every single Becca highlight, even though it was a big giant pan and the shades were all kind of similar, except for maybe some limited edition shades that ended up becoming a part of its permanent line. And I think that was a downfall of Becca. Well, I know that was a downfall of Becca. So they had this highlighter, and they never really expanded too much beyond that. And if they did, those products didn't necessarily do as well. So right now, Becca products can be found through Smashbox. And Smashbox is another company that was absorbed by Estee Lauder. So technically, I think Estee Lauder absorbed Becca and then just kind of shoved it into Smashbox, for lack of better words and better imagery. And currently on Sephora and I think even Smashbox itself, the Becca website just links you straight to Smashbox. You can get the under eye color corrector. Originally it was like in a peachy tone and you could only get it in that shade, I believe, and like maybe a green one, but now there's 4 shades, but I don't think it's a green one. I think it's just like that pink one and then like a light, medium, and dark, you know, like tan, deep kind of thing. It's not really deep. I don't know, but it's supposed to kind of cater to multiple shade ranges. I don't know if it really does that. And then some of the highlighters, and then they sell it on its own, but the Champagne Pop highlight, that was a shade created by Jaclyn Hill and Becca when like they did a lot of collabs together. I don't know why that one, because like when you click on the highlighters, it gives you multiple shades that you can pick from, but for some reason, even on the Sephora website, okay, so if you've been on the internet for a while, you would know that Becca closed down in September, August of 2021. When I'm filming and uploading this video, it is November of 2022. So let's talk about it. And this came to my attention only because I've been kind of thinking of different video topics that I want to do. And when I was kind of doing some research for another topic that I'm going to be talking about, this just kind of came to my attention, especially with all the Black Friday deals kind of coming out and the holiday sets and things like that. It reminded me that Becca is like no longer a company, and kind of the remnants of Becca itself is kind of like weird and suspicious. So Becca used to be a brand during the like 2010 to like 2016 era of like internet beauty. And I think this is when everybody was getting their makeup tips and tricks and recommendations from the internet. And I'm pretty sure this is where the term influencer really like became a term that people used. And it wasn't just a YouTuber, you were now an influencer, because you influenced people's purchasings. And I don't know. I think Becca kind of got grandfathered in with a lot of these brands, the way that these brands are still kind of grandfathered into stores like Sephora and Ulta. But like, I believe it was like Too Faced, Tarte, Urban Decay, Lorac, gosh, so many different brands that now I can't think of, but there was just so many of them, and they were really big and really popular, and you could find them both in Ulta and Sephora, and they kind of created a clique because like these brands would release items that were only available at Ulta, and then certain collections that were only available at Sephora. And now I think all of those brands are just kind of owned by Estee Lauder. Another brand that I forgot to talk about was Smashbox. So what's currently happened with Becca is Becca was absorbed by Smashbox, but Estee Lauder owns Smashbox, and I think this is what happened. I think Estee Lauder bought Smashbox and they bought Becca, and then they just took Becca and shoved it into Smashbox. So when you go to the Becca website, it just automatically redirects you to the Smashbox website. And when you go on Sephora or on like Ulta or any other site that sells Smashbox, you will see 3 listings for the Smashbox X Becca. They make it look like it's a collab. It's not. Like, it's permanently now Smashbox's formula, but you can choose from 3 items. One is a under eye color corrector. I believe the original was just like a pink peachy kind of color corrector, and then they tried to expand it to different shades, and I believe there's 4 shades available. They have the highlighters, and then you can get Champagne Pop as its own thing. I don't know why it's not listed with all of the other highlighters, because it's the same size, it's the same kind of like original Becca packaging, but it says Smashbox X Becca on it. But for some reason, Champagne Pop is like its own thing. And then I think of the original highlights, I think it's only like 4 maybe of the shades, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's like the original like core 7. I don't know. Maybe I should have checked and did a little bit more research when making this video, but it's not important. Becca was just one of those brands where I think they suffered because they didn't expand. And this is important because when you're a brand known for one item, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because all it takes to kind of put you out of business is to be another brand that makes your one product but better. And I don't think Becca ever tried to update its formula. It was kind of a dated kind of highlight. It kind of set the trend. Like, Becca walked so other brands could run. But I mean, even now, I think when we all kind of think of like OG highlights, or depending on who you're talking to, instead of saying Becca, they probably say like Jeffree Star Cosmetics and like their highlighters, you know. And for me, that was kind of like a new age highlight, if you will, because I kind of remember Becca being the highlight that just had its grip on everyone's throat of like, you had to have a Becca highlight, and you had to have Champagne Pop, you had to have the icy like pink highlight, what was it, Moonstone or something like that. And these were big, giant, massive highlights. Like, this is a blush. It makes sense for me to have a blush like this size. I don't need a highlight this size, especially when like I just take a highlight on the corners of my cheek. Look at how much blush I'm using. That's how much highlight I'm using. And they would want you to buy multiple of these and buy them in different sizes and different shades and things like that. Like, it's a highlighter pan can be this big, and that's all you would ever need. This would last you a whole year, you know? Anyway, and I think the downside as well is that because they never updated their formula and they didn't really expand, there was even indie brands that made better highlights. And if Becca is a highlight, like your holy grail highlight, I'm not saying that you have bad taste in makeup. I'm not saying that that product doesn't perform well for you. I'm just saying I see indie brands like Klados and smaller indie brands like Dandelion Cosmetics release beautiful, beautiful highlighters that are a fraction of the price and just perform way better, and I think are just more flattering. And I don't think Becca... I think Becca suffers from what Charlotte Tilbury is currently suffering with, in that like it only caters to light to some medium toned skins. Anything too deep in the medium to deep spectrum, a lot of those products are going to look ashy. They're going to, you know, leave a weird cast on the face. It's just not for them. And that's fine, I guess. But when we live in a world where like brands are releasing 40 shades of foundations, you know, and trying to cater to all skin tones, I just don't know how popular your product is going to be, you know, if you're kind of sticking to one subgroup. Especially when you have a brand like Juvia's Place that is made, you know, it's a Black-owned business, and even their highlights. Pat McGrath Labs as well, you know, that's the highlight that I'm using today, and I'm not a deep tone, but I can still use those highlights, and they look beautiful on me, and they look beautiful on deeper skin tones. And Becca wasn't really doing that. Becca would try to release highlight formulas. They had a cream highlight, they had a liquid highlight, they had the highlight compacts, and you know, they were really just trying to hold on to that. And I mean, I'm not going to get into the Jaclyn Hill story arc of the Becca business, because there are hour-long videos already made where you can watch that. I'm sure they might pop up on the side over here because the algorithm's going to pick up the word of Becca or Jaclyn Hill. But I mean, people were even upset at Becca for making the Champagne Pop like a permanent shade, but then they would always tease that it was going away, but it never really went away. And so there was drama with that. And I think towards the end, they tried to branch out and release different things. Like, I still have the skin tint and setting powder that they released a few months before they closed, and I thought that those items were really great. But Becca suffered from, like, when they did try to branch out with things, the product itself was really, for the price, like, why would you pay that? Like, they had a lip balm. They had a lip balm. I found it at TJ Maxx for $3. This lip balm sold for $20, and it was just a clear lip balm. It didn't even do anything. It's kind of a shitty lip balm. It's not even a good lip balm. Why am I spending $20 on that? it kind of makes sense for me to spend $15 on the Sigma lip oils because those are at least a color payoff. They're really pretty, they're long lasting, they don't dry out my lips. They provide a service for me, and multiple services for me for my makeup needs. But this Becca lip balm did not. And I think that's what ended up happening with Becca a lot of the time too. I mean, even now if you go to your TJ Maxx and Marshalls, not that there's anything wrong with buying makeup from the stores, but you see a lot of Becca because so many stores had so much stock of this product and it just never got moved. People were not buying it up. And that's why they end up in stores like TJ Maxx and Ross and Marshalls and whatnot, because their stock is just, they're buying overstock and they're buying overstock and dead stock and selling it in their stores. That doesn't mean that they're bad items, they're just not as popular. So I don't know, that's kind of really all I have for Becca. It just kind of crossed my mind. This is a kind of quicker video to kind of start the week. Let me know in the comments down below, do you miss Becca? Do you even remember Becca as a brand? Did you use any of their items? Do you still have any of their items in your collection? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.